George, Duck Dynasty. I'm sure you think to yourself, I never thought that at this point in my career I'd be talking about an A&E cable show. I want to start with a question that we got on Twitter, and let's put it up, from Rio Smythe in the context of this controversy. Is political correctness killing our freedom?
No, our freedom is really quite secure. Look, this is a big, complicated country. This is a week in which New Mexico and Utah became respectively the 17th and 18th states to acquire, by judicial decision, same-sex marriage. In the same week, Walmart's supply of Duck Dynasty merchandise sold out like that as a sign of support for Mr. Robertson. So we got people on both sides of this. His First Amendment rights are not in danger. The First Amendment protects individuals from government action that would either priorly restrain speech or punish speech after it's uttered. This is an argument between him and his employer. Let them sort it out. What we do see here, and this goes to the viewer's question about political correctness, the new biggest American entitlement is the entitlement to go through life without being offended. People think they have a right not to have their feelings hurt, not to have their sensibilities in any way exacerbated. I'd refer them to Jefferson, who said, "It does me no harm if my neighbor believes in 20 gods or one God, it neither picks my pocket nor breaks my leg." We have worked for millennia to get to a point where we say the law will protect our possessions and our persons, but not our feelings. And people just have to get over it.
Kirsten, what about Governor Jindal's comment that we had at the beginning of the segment, that Hollywood and the left are all for tolerance and for minority opinions as long as you don't disagree with that?
It's a terrible argument. I mean, does he seriously believe that if you hold a minority position that whites and blacks shouldn't be married, that's acceptable? Is that what he's saying? I mean, that we should all think that? The point here is not that this person supports traditional marriage. The point here is that he's a bigot on many levels, and that he said very bigoted things, not just about gay people, but about African Americans, that is not even really getting that much coverage. And there was a video that was just found of him speaking in 2010 saying about gay people that they're ruthless, full of murder, arrogant, liable to invent ways of doing evil. I mean, this is not a person who just, oh, I just think marriage is between a man and a woman. So if he had just said that, there'd be no controversy. The controversy is over the fact that he's saying very bigoted, hateful things that are in no way supported by being a Christian or are found anywhere in the Bible.
Charles, I would love you to respond to Kirsten, but I also want you to respond to a question we got on Facebook from James Nathaniel, who asks, why are conservatives making a big deal about this?
Well, look, I think it is overstated what's going on, because it isn't a matter of rights or the First Amendment. That's government compulsion. We're talking about here is cultural compulsion, and I think there's a lot of it that we ought not have in the country, and we work it out without any real rules. At some point, you're way over the line, and people will punish you, and the culture will have you fired. On others, I think there are more equivocal, and this is a dispute between a private party, a network making a lot of money off another private party, and it can decide if it thinks that person has gone over their line or not. It's a personal decision, and it will be adjudicated in the end by whether the boycotters of the network are going to be stronger than the boycotters of the products of those who are opposing it. I do think there's one irony here, which is that gays who have heroically fought for equality in the marketplace, in housing, in the military, in marriage, and asked for tolerance and acceptance, having achieved it, or largely achieved it, ought to think about using their influence and power to delegitimize and to be intolerant towards others who still think, as was pointed out by Governor Huckabee, the same way Obama did in 2008. It can't be that illegitimate if the president himself, whom all of us will say is not a bigot, had those biblical approaches in 2008.
Juan.
Well, I think the reason that the right is so strongly backing is because they think there's a potential wedge issue, especially with older white evangelical voters, Chris. And so people like Mike Huckabee...
Do you think this is all just politics?
Oh, yeah, it's heavily political. Because as everyone has said on this panel, it's not a First Amendment issue. You know, talking about best-selling books, I had a best-selling book on this topic, Muzzle, because guess what? I got fired for saying something that somebody didn't like. Now, when I got fired, it was, I think, part of an honest debate about terrorism in our society. My employer didn't like it and fired me. But my point is, this is not about honest debate. What was said actually shuts down debate because it was ugly language about homosexual acts, and it invites bigotry. It invites people to hate people who are gay and to see them. And this is amazing because it's not in the Christian tradition to make judgments about them and to put them in a box. So I think it was very ugly. You know, you look at it, you know, you think the right goes after Martin Bashir. They want Martin Bashir fired, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
They want
his comments about Sarah Palin.
Dixie Chicks. Remember Dixie Chicks or Tim Robbins or Bill Maher? All of that, the right says, get them out of here. But when people then, they then want to cry foul when people are intolerant of them. That's very political, Chris.
To be continued. Interesting discussion. And my guess is something people will be talking about over the holiday season more than Obamacare.